Omotola's hands shook as she messed with her apartment keys, her other hand holding the bottom of her 7-month belly. Charleston's August heat stuck to her skin, and all she wanted was to take off her shoes and sleep without the baby using her ribs like a punching bag. The door opened before her key turned. Her breath stopped. The lock wasn't locked. She pushed the door open more, her heart pounding hard in her chest. The living room looked off. Her cheap used furniture had been moved around super carefully, and sitting in her grandma's armchair, the one thing she'd brought from Atlanta, was a guy who shouldn't be real, except in her bad dreams. Yoon In-tak. 6 months hadn't made his sharp face softer, or lightened the sneaky darkness in his eyes. He wore all black, fancy, fitted, deadly. Korean letters went up the left side of his neck in big strokes, going under his collar. Behind him, 3 guys in dark suits blocked every way out. Her apartment had turned into a trap. You ran. In-tak's voice broke the quiet, smooth and cold like a knife on ice. From me, from us, from my child. Omotola's hand went to her belly. Get out. I don't know how you found me, but you need to leave now. His lips turned into something that wasn't really a smile. Your doctor records were super easy to get. Charleston has only 4 baby doctors who do tough pregnancies. The easy break-in made cold fear run down her back. This baby isn't yours to take. She stepped more inside, not wanting to be trapped. You don't get to burst into my life, then tell me I'm wrong. Int stood up in one smooth move, and suddenly the space between them felt too tight. He moved like a hunter, each step on purpose. The Korean letters on his neck moved with him, and she remembered. Gosh, she remembered touching those symbols in the dark of a Seoul hotel room. Immovable heart, he'd whispered against her bare shoulder. It means I don't break. He stopped close enough that she could smell his cologne. Something dark and woody that made her heart beat funny. Close enough to see the no-sleep shadows under his eyes. Tell me that child isn't mine, he went on, his voice getting raw. And I'll leave. The lie started on her tongue, but the baby kicked hard against her hand, the move showing through her thin dress. In-tak's eyes looked down. Something showed on his face, owning so clear it took her breath. 6 months, she whispered. 6 months I've been away from you. Away. His jaw got tight. I spent 6 months wondering if you were alive, if you were safe. Do you have any idea what it does to a guy like me to not know, to not be able to protect what's mine? I'm not yours. That child is. Now, here's where everything she thought she knew about control broke, because In-tak didn't just want the baby. He wanted her to give in totally. So, what now? She made herself look at his eyes. You found me. What do you want? In-tak moved closer. 1 step. The air got thick. Another step. Her back hit the wall, and suddenly he was right there, his body heat coming off against her big belly, his hand going up to hold next to her head. Marry me. Omotola laughed, sharp, almost crazy. You can't just marry me. You will marry me, he said again. Order wrapped in soft words, or I take the baby. The air got 10 degrees colder. I have the money, the lawyers. His voice stayed super calm. I can prove you're not fit. A single mum who ran from the country, hiding my child. I will crush you with court fights until you have nothing. No keeping the kid, no child. Her chest got so tight she couldn't breathe. You're threatening me. I'm giving you a choice. His hand held her face with super soft care. His thumb touched her cheek, and her bad body leaned into it, wanting more even as her brain yelled danger. Warmth grew where his skin touched hers, going down her neck. Marry me. Let me protect you both. Or his eyes got hot. Or I take what's mine by force. The baby kicked. In-tak's hand moved down to cover her belly, his palm warm through the thin fabric. Their fingers touched, and sparks went up her arm. She could feel his breath on her lips, could see his pulse beating in his throat above those Korean letters. Why? Her voice broke. One night. Don't you think I haven't tried to forget you? His control broke. His other hand left the wall, fingers going into her hair at the back of her neck, tilting her face up. The hold sent shivers down her back. Every woman after you was wrong. You got under my skin. Omotola, His forehead touched hers. His thumb rubbed the soft skin behind her ear, a touch so close her knees got weak. "I can't lose you again," he whispered against her mouth, not quite kissing her, but close enough that she could taste the words. "So yes, I'm threatening you. Tell me you feel nothing." But she couldn't because her body was turning on her, leaning into his warmth, her free hand grabbing his fancy shirt, her breathing getting short and needy. 6 months, she gasped. "After the baby's born, then we divorce." Wind showed in his eyes. 6 months, he agreed, his mouth right over hers, so close it hurt. "But I should warn you." His hand got tighter in her hair, turning her head just how he wanted. "I'm very good at changing people's minds. And if you're wondering whether Omatala stands a chance against a man who spent 6 months thinking about her all the time, hit that subscribe button right now, because this is just the beginning of how far Intac will go to keep what's his." His lips took hers, and it wasn't soft, it was owning and demanding. And 6 months of thinking poured into one killer kiss. His hand on her belly pulled her closer, as close as her pregnant body let in. She melted into him, opening for him, her fingers holding his shirt like he was the only steady thing in a spinning world. When he finally pulled back, his thumb touched her puffy bottom lip. 3 weeks, he said low, his voice rough. "We marry in Seoul in 3 weeks. My people will handle everything." Omatola's mind spun, her body still hot from his touch, from the promise in his kiss. She'd just agreed to marry her obsession. But his hand spread owning across her belly, and his mouth turned into a smile that was pure hunter. She realized the real question wasn't whether she'd survive him, it was whether she'd ever wanted to escape at all. The private jet to Seoul felt like a fancy jail. Omatala pressed her forehead against the cool window, watching Charleston go away under the clouds. 3 weeks. Intac had given her 3 weeks to fix her stuff, which really meant 3 weeks for his people to take apart her whole life and pack it into boxes going to South Korea. Her apartment rent ended. Her job quit with weird pay to leave. Her friends told a made-up story about a sudden marriage, all of it set up by a man who sat 15 feet away, working on his laptop like he hadn't just taken her whole life. Intac hadn't touched her since that kiss. He'd been nothing but careful, making sure she had the best baby care, remembering she hated ginger tea, having her grandma's armchair sent to Seoul. This side of him was harder to say no to than the bad guy, who'd threatened to take her baby. "You should eat something." His voice broke her thoughts. The flight attendant said, "You said no to lunch." Omatala didn't turn from the window. "I'm not hungry. The baby is fine." She finally looked at him and wished she hadn't right away. He'd rolled up his shirt sleeves. The Korean letters on his neck went into his collar, but she could see other ink now. Symbols going down his left arm. "You don't get to act like you care when you forced me onto this plane." "I never acted anything." Int closed his laptop, then moved toward her, sitting in the seat right across. His knees almost touched hers. "I don't say sorry for wanting what's mine." Her heart beat faster. "I'm not, you are." His eyes locked on hers. "And the sooner you get that, the easier this gets." The baby kicked hard. Intact's look went to her belly, something open showing on his face. "May I?" He pointed to her stomach. She should say no, should keep space. "Okay." Intact knelt between the seats, and suddenly she was looking down at one of Seoul's most dangerous guys on his knees in front of her. His hand weighted over her belly. When she nodded, his palm rested, warm against the bump of their child. The baby kicked right into his hand. Intact's breath came out shaky, his fingers spreading wider. "Strong," he said low. His thumb rubbed slow circles and warmth grew under his touch. "How does it feel? Carrying life?" "Scary, amazing, like I'm never alone anymore." "You're not." His other hand rested on her thigh just above her knee, owning. The heat of his palm burned through her dress. "You'll never be alone again." It should have sounded like a threat. Instead, her throat got tight. "Your family," she said, needing to break whatever magic was happening between them. "What if they hate me? I don't speak Korean. I don't know the ways." I'm a pregnant black American walking into one of Seoul's most powerful families. Then they'll learn to accept it. Intak's hand slid higher up her thigh, fingers leaving fire. You don't bow to anyone. Not to them. Not to Seoul society. You're mine, which means you're untouchable. Her breathing got short. I don't know how to be what they'll want. Good. His hold got tighter on her thigh, owning enough to make her gasp. I don't want you to be what they want. He leaned closer, his lips almost brushing her ear. Let them whisper. Let them judge. Every time they look at you, they'll remember that I chose you over everything they tried to set up for me. The raw owning in his voice made her back melt. But here's what she was about to find out. Intak's family wasn't just going to whisper. They were going to fight. For hours until we land. Intak kept going against her ear, his breath hot on her neck. For hours until you meet my mother, who will smile while figuring out exactly how to split us up. My brother, who will test your strength. My father's friends, who will wonder if an American brings any good connections. His hand slid from her thigh to her lower back, pulling her forward until they were super close. Can you handle that? I survived you threatening to take my baby. Her voice came out breathier than she meant. I think I can handle your family. His laugh was dark, liking it. There's my fighter. His fingers touched up her back, leaving sparks behind. But you need to get it. They'll smile to your face while getting knives ready for your back. They'll say nice things about your dress while figuring out its price. They'll ask about your family while listing every hole in your background. Then why take me there? Because you're carrying my child. Because his hand grabbed her hair, tilting her head back to meet his hot look. I want them to see exactly what I took. I want every guy who thought he had a shot at a deal through marriage to know they never had a chance. Her heart pounded hard. I'm not a prize. No. His thumb touched her fast pulse at her throat. You're the obsession. The thing I'd burn my whole empire for. His lips stayed over hers, not touching. That scares them more than any prize ever could. The space between them sparked with heat. Omatola's fingers curled into his shirt, torn between pulling him closer and pushing him away. What if I can't do this? The words came out before she could stop them. What if I'm not strong enough for your world? Then I'll burn it down and build you a new one. Simple, total, crazy. He let her go slowly, going back to his seat with that annoying control, leaving her red and wanting. For hours until Seoul. For hours until she found out whether she could survive being the weak spot of a guy who'd never had one before, and his eyes promised things that made her body hot. Omatola realized the real danger wasn't his family's judging, it was how badly she wanted to prove she belonged at his side. The Yoon family home in Hanam-dong made Omatola's whole Charleston apartment building look like a tool shed. Black iron gates opened to show a big spread-out place, old Korean style mixed with new glass and steel, around perfect gardens. Guards stood around the edges like statues. Intak's hand rested awning on her lower back as they got out of the car. Breathe, he said low against her ear, his lips touching her skin. They can smell fear. Comforting, she said under her breath, but stood taller. Her loose dress hugged her pregnant belly in soft cream cloth. She'd said no to the fancy jewels they'd tried to put on her, keeping only simple gold hoops her grandma gave her. If Intak's family was going to judge her, they'd judge her, not some fake version. The main house doors opened before they got to them. A woman came out, in her 50s, fancy in a way that looked easy, but probably took hours. Her dark hanbok was old style but cut new. Her eyes, the same sneaky dark as Intak's, checked Omatola in 3 seconds. Iyama, Intak said. Then in English, this is Omatola Davis. Omatola, my mother Yoon Jihai. Jihai's smile was nice, perfect, and cold enough to freeze glass. Miss Davis, welcome. Her English had almost no accent. Good job to you for the wedding and the child. The way she said the child like it was a thing to buy instead of a grandkid made Omatola mad. Mrs. Yoon held out her hand, not bowing when she didn't know how deep. Thank you for having me. Jihai's eyes changed before she took Omatola's hand in a short, cool hold. Come inside. You must be tired. Intact, your brother is waiting in your father's office. I'll take her to our rooms first. No way. Jihai's smile got sharper. Miss Davis should rest. I'll have workers show her upstairs while you do business. Family stuff needs privacy. The send-away was smooth and final. Intact's hand got tighter on Omatola's back, his body getting stiff. Omatola is family. She will be after the wedding. Hard words under every nice one. 3 days is hardly enough to plan right, but we'll manage. Now go. Your brother has been waiting. Omatola got this was a test. Would she hold on to Intact or stand up? Go, Omatola said quietly, looking at Jihai's eyes. I'm fine finding a bedroom. Something showed in Intact's face, worry and pride, fighting. He leaned down, his lips touching her temple in clear taking, his hands moving round to spread across her belly. East wing, 3rd floor. If anyone bothers you, his fingers pressed owning against her stomach. Call me right away. The warmth of his hands stayed even after he went inside. Well, Jihai turned fully to Omatola. Shall we? The walk through the home was mind games. Jihai pointed out family old things worth more than doctor school debt. She talked about important wedding guests, leaders, big bosses, people whose names are in world news. She asked nice questions about Omatola's family, each one showing how different their worlds were. And your parents? Jihai asked, as they went up a big staircase. Will they come? My mum died when I was 12. Cancer. Kept her voice even. My dad got married again. We're not close. I see. Jihai's face softened a tiny bit. The first real feeling, loss, is hard. I lost my own mum young. It shapes us, makes us weak or unbreakable. Another test. It taught me I only have myself to count on. Omatola said. Good. Jihai stopped outside a fancy door. Because that's the truth, Miss Davis. In this family, in this world, you have only yourself. My son may be crazy about you now, but crazy fades. Money doesn't, power doesn't. There it was. The real warning. You think I'm here for his money, Omatola said flat. I think you're here because you're carrying his child, and he gave you no choice. Jihai's eyes were sharp, knowing, I'm not dumb. I know my son. I know how he works. The question is, are you here to survive him, or are you dumb enough to love him? The straight talk took Omatola's breath. Because if you love him, Jihai went on, her voice low, you'll destroy each other. Intact doesn't do anything half. Not business, not fighting, not love. He'll eat you up until there's nothing left. Omatola's hand went to her belly. And if I don't love him, then you might survive with your soul, okay? Jihai opened the door, showing a room bigger than Omatola's whole Charleston apartment. The wedding is in 3 days. I suggest you decide which woman you want to be, the one who loves my son, or the one who's smart enough not to. She left without more words. Omatola stood in the doorway, Jihai's warning loud in her ears. Through big windows, Seoul's lights shone. Beautiful, strange, too much. Her phone buzzed. Intact, you okay? Before she could answer, another text. My mom is testing you. Don't let her win. Then, I can feel you thinking from 3 floors away. What did she say? Omatola's lips turned up despite it all. The guy was impossible. She asked if I'm dumb enough to love you. The answer came fast, and her fingers waited over the keys. 3 days until she married a guy who'd threatened to take her baby. 3 days until she tied herself to a crazy she didn't get. The door opened behind her. Omatola turned fast, her heart jumping. Intact stood in the doorway, his jacket gone, shirt open at the collar, showing those Korean letters on his neck. His eyes were dark, strong, burning with something that made her stomach flip. That meeting was quick, she said. I told my brother to wait. Intact stepped inside, closing the door with a firm click. You didn't answer my question. He moved toward her with that hunter walk, and suddenly, the big room felt too small. What question? Her voice came out breathier than she meant. Are you dumb enough to love me? He stopped close enough that she could feel his body heat, could smell that dark cologne that was in her dreams. His hand came up to hold her face, tilting her chin up. Because my mom's right about one thing. I don't do anything half intact. 3 days. His thumb touched her bottom lip and heat built low in her belly despite her mix-up, her fear, everything. 3 days until you're mine by law. But you've been mine since that night in Seoul, and we both know it. His other hand went to her lower back, pulling her closer, as close as her belly let. So answer the question. Are you falling for me? Because if you are, his forehead touched hers. I need to know. I need to know if I'm destroying you or saving you. Her breath stopped because the truth was harder than survive or love. The truth was, she was scared of both. I don't know, she whispered. I don't know what this is. I just know. Her hands grabbed his shirt. I can't stop thinking about you. I can't stop wanting. His mouth hit hers, taking whatever she'd been about to say. The kiss was needy, taking 6 months of crazy poured into one killer moment. His hand got tight in her hair, while the other spread owning across her lower back, and she melted into him, opening for him, her body turning on every smart thought. When he finally pulled back, they were both breathing hard. 3 days, he said, rough against her lips. Then there's no more mix-up, no more questions. You'll be mine in every way that counts. He let her go slow, his eyes promising things that made her knees weak, then walked to the door. He stopped, looking back. Your mom thinks you'll destroy me. His smile was dark, dangerous, and totally sure. Only if you let me. And something tells me you're stronger than she thinks. Then he was gone, leaving her red and wanting, and more mixed up than ever. 3 days until the wedding. 3 days to decide if she was brave enough, or dumb enough to find out what happens when crazy turns to love. And as she sat on the big bed, her lips still hot from his kiss, she got that Intac's mom had asked the wrong question. It wasn't whether she was dumb enough to love him. It was whether she was strong enough to survive being loved by him. The wedding dress hung in Omatola's room like a ghost. Traditional white hanbok with new strong shape, hands sewn with silver thread that caught the morning light. Beautiful, hard to breathe in. 2 days had passed since Intac's kiss. 2 days of hair people and planners and GIs set up meetings with Seoul High people. 2 days of learning she was marrying into a world where every smile hid plans. Intac had been annoyingly gone, pulled into must-do meetings his brother said couldn't wait, but his being there stayed. Fresh peach juice brought each morning, her grandma's armchair put by the window, texts at weird times. Missing you. 1 more day. My mom tried to change your dress. I told her no. Can't sleep. Keep thinking about how you taste. That last one at 3 a.m. kept her up until morning. Now staring at the dress that would make her Yoon, Omatola, in less than a day. Her chest got tight with something between waiting and fear. A knock broke her thoughts. Come in, she called, thinking another hair person. The door opened to show a guy in his early 30s. Same sharp looks as Intac but colder, more in control. His suit was perfect, his face blank. Miss Davis, I'm young Jung-ho, Intac's brother. He stepped inside without ask. We haven't met, right? Something in his voice rang warning bells. Your mum talked about you. I'm sure she did. Jung-ho went to the windows like it was no big deal. She has thoughts on everything, especially about American women who show up pregnant out of nowhere. Omatola's back got straight. Say what you came to say straight. I like that. Jung-ho turned, his smile sharp. My brother is not focused, making bad choices, starting fights with other families over you. Love makes men weak. Miss Davis, weak men don't last in our world. Then talk to Intac, not me. I did. He threatened to kill me if I said you should leave. Jung-ho pulled the envelope from his jacket. So, I'm asking you instead. Walk away. Take this money. Disappear. Give your child a normal life far from Seoul's bad side. Omatola looked at the envelope. Intac would hunt me down. Not if it was your pick. If he left on purpose. Jung-ho put the envelope on the table. You have until midnight. After that, you're stuck in whatever mess my brother's crazy makes. The door closed behind him. Omatola looked at the envelope, her heart fast. Freedom, safety, the chance to raise her child away from family wars and a guy who'd said he'd eat her up. Her phone buzzed. Intact. Last meeting going long. Missing you. Tomorrow can't come soon enough. Then, Jung-ho just left the place. If he came to see you, ignore whatever he said. Her fingers shook. How did you know? I have cameras everywhere. Stop. What did he offer you? She could lie, but something about Intact made lying feel not possible. Money, freedom, a way out. The answer took longer. And you're still here. 3 dots showed, went away, finally. Why? Because, somewhere between Charleston and Seoul, between threats and kisses, she'd stopped wanting to run, because I think I'm dumb enough to love you after all. The phone rang right away. Say it again. Intact's voice was rough, needy. Say it so I know I didn't make it up. I don't know if it's love yet, but I want to find out. I want to stay. I'm coming home now. No, finish your meeting. I'll be here, Omatala. I'm not going anywhere. Intact. Not tonight. Not tomorrow. Not ever. His sharp breath came through the phone. You have no idea what you just agreed to. Then you have a lifetime to show me. Quiet went between them, heavy with promise. Tomorrow, Intact said at last, feeling rough in his voice. Tomorrow you become mine, and I promise you'll never be sorry you picked me. I better not, because if I do, I know where you sleep. His laugh was dark, happy. There's my fighter. Get some rest. Tomorrow I take you in front of everyone who counts. He hung up. Omatala picked up the envelope without opening it and dropped it in the trash. She'd made her choice. A sound at the door made her turn. Intact stood in the doorway, his jacket gone, shirt open at the collar, breathing hard like he'd run the whole way. His eyes were wild, burning with something that took her breath. You said you'd finish the meeting, she said. I lied. He moved toward her with hunter's strength. You just told me you loved me. You think I could sit through another second of talks? He got to her in 3 steps, his hands holding her face, tilting her head back. Say it again to my face this time. Her voice caught. I'm falling for you. I don't know if it's smart or crazy, but I can't stop it. Something fierce and owning burned in his eyes. It's both. We're both crazy. His thumb touched her bottom lip, and heat built low in her belly. But I don't care. I stopped caring about smart the moment I saw you in Seoul. His forehead touched hers, his breath hot against her lips. You picked me over freedom, over safety, over everything. I picked us, she whispered. Us, he repeated, trying the word. His hand went down her neck, her shoulders, resting owning on her waist. I like that. Us against my family. US against Seoul. Us against everyone who thinks this won't work. Intact, his mouth hit hers, taking whatever she'd been about to say. The kiss was needy, taking relief and hunger, and 6 months of crazy poured into one killer moment. His hands got tight on her waist, pulling her as close as her belly let, and she melted into him, her fingers going into his hair. When he finally pulled back, they were both breathing hard. Tomorrow, he said, rough against her lips, you wear that dress. You say those vows, and then you're mine in every way that counts. His hand went to her belly, spreading owning. Both of you, owning much always. His smile was dark, dangerous, totally sure. Get used to it, because once we're married, I'm never letting you out of my sight again. He kissed her once more, softer this time, almost holy, then stepped back. Sleep. Tomorrow's a long day, and you'll need your strength. For what his eyes promised, things that made her knees weak. For everything that comes after. Then he was gone, leaving her red and wanting and surer than ever. Tomorrow she married her obsession. Tomorrow she stepped into darkness with a guy who'd burned the world to keep her. And gosh help them both. She couldn't wait. The wedding should have been pretty. Cherry blossoms lined the home's garden spot, their petals floating like snow in the afternoon wind. Old musicians played soft, while 300 guests, Seoul's top people, leaders, business, big shots, watched her walk down a path lined with white silk. She wore the hanbok that had hung in her room like a promise, her pregnant belly hard to hide. Let them stare, let them whisper. She was about to become Yun Omatola, and their thoughts meant nothing. Intact waited at the front in old black hanbok, his eyes dark and burning with owning so clear it stopped her breath. The Korean letters on his neck showed strong against his collar. Immovable heart. She got to him and his hand closed around hers. Warm, steady, totally sure. The leader started talking in Korean, his words going over her. She'd practiced her vows by sound, had spent hours making sure she wouldn't mess up. But now, with Intak's thumb rubbing circles on her hand, the words felt less strange and more like a link between worlds. Intak spoke his vows, his eyes never leaving hers, and even without getting every word, she felt how heavy they were. The promise, the taking, the total sureness. Her turn. The Korean words felt heavy on her tongue, but she kept going. A scream cut through the wedding. Omatola's head turned fast to the sound. Guests ran as 3 black cars crashed through the fancy gates. Armed guys came out, guns up. Intak's hand got tight on hers hard enough to bruise. Get down. Guns, shot. The world turned into mess. Guests hid. Intak's guards shot back, and Intak moved faster than she'd ever seen, his body becoming a shield between her and the bad guys. Run, he ordered, his voice cold and deadly. East Garden, safe room. I'm not leaving. You're carrying my child. His hand pressed on her belly. Urgent. Run now. More guns. A bullet broke the spots post inches from her head. Jung-ho showed up from the mess, blood coming from his arm. This way. He grabbed Omatola's arm, pulling her to the gardens while Intak covered. They'd just got into the garden paths when Jung-ho's hold changed from protecting to holding back. He pressed something cold against her back. A gun. I'm sorry, Jung-ho said, almost meaning it. But my brother picked you over everything. I gave you a chance to leave. You should have taken it. Cold fear filled Omatola's body. The attack. This was you. Other family wanted Intak weak. Jung-ho's voice stayed calm. When the smoke goes, you'll be gone. Sad loss. Intak will be sad but focused. The group lives. He'll kill you. Maybe, but he'll be alive. That's what counts. They came out into an open spot where more armed guys waited. Not Intak's, different group. One stepped up, his smile cold. The pregnant American. Park will pay good for Intak's weak spot. But here's what these guys didn't get. Omatola Davis hadn't lived through a bossy ex, gone across countries alone, or picked a Mafia boss over freedom just to be a victim. You made a mistake, Omatola said, her voice steady. She thought of her mum, who'd fought cancer mad until the end. Her grandma who'd lived through Jim Crow with pride, okay. The baby growing inside her, a link between worlds. You want to know what Intak taught me? The guy's smile got bigger. What's that? That love doesn't make you weak. Her hand got tight on her belly. It makes you darn terrifying. She pushed her elbow back into Jung-ho's ribs, right where Intak had shown her in their fight lessons. The gun shot into the ground as Jung-ho fell back. Omatola ran pregnant in a wedding dress through garden paths. She ran like her life was on it because it was. She could hear them behind her, yelling in Korean. But she'd walked these gardens every morning, had learned the paths by heart, while calming wedding worries. Left at the water thing, right at the cherry tree. Strong hands caught her, and she screamed before a known voice broke her fear. It's me. Intak turned her around, his hands fast checking for hurts. Blood on his face, his wedding clothes torn, his eyes wild with scare. Are you hurt? The baby, we're okay. But Jung-ho, he's working with Park's family. He had a gun. Intak's face went totally killer. Don't. Omatola held his shirt. Don't you dare leave me again. Don't get killed on our wedding day. Something in his face got soft. He held her face, his thumb wiping tears she didn't know she had. I'm not going anywhere without you. His hand went to her belly, protecting both of you. You're everything. You get everything. He took out his phone. Fast Korean. In seconds, his real guards showed up. Take her to the panic room, Intak ordered. No one gets through Intak. He kissed her hard and needy, tasting like smoke and fear. I'm coming back, I promise. But first, his voice got cold, deadly. I'm dealing with my brother. His fingers went through her hair one last time. tilting her face up. When I get back, we're finishing those vows. Nothing stops us again. Not my family, not rivals, nothing. You better come back to me. Always. His thumb touched her lips, and despite the mess, despite everything, heat sparked between them. I didn't fight this hard to take you, just to die before I get to enjoy being your husband. Then he was gone, going into the paths with deadly aim. Omatala let his guards take her deeper into the home. The panic room was just what it sounded like. Strong steel, watch screens, enough stuff for a long hide. She watched the screens as Intact's guys took out the bad guys one by one. Watched as Intact moved through the gardens like death himself. His moves exact and mean. This was the guy she'd married. Not just the crazy lover who brought her peach juice and remembered her grandma's chair. But this, the dangerous, deadly force who'd burned the world to protect what's his. On screen, Intact trapped Jung-ho in the open spot. She couldn't hear the talk, but she saw Jung-ho drop to his knees, saw Intact's gun go up, then down. Intact spoke short, sharp, and Jung-ho's shoulders dropped in what looked like lose or relief. Intact pointed, and his guys took Jung-ho away. Not dead, sent away, maybe locked up, but alive, because Intact had picked kind when he could have picked payback. The panic room door opened 30 minutes later. Intact stood there, blood-marked and tired, but okay. His eyes found hers right away, and the raw relief in them made her throat tight. "It's over," he said, simple. Omatala went to him in 3 steps, her hands holding his face, checking for hurts. "Your brother, alive, barely. He'll wish he was dead by the time I'm done with him." But Intact's hand covered hers. "I didn't kill him for you, because you make me want to be better than the monster everyone wants." She kissed him then, needy and thankful and still scared. When they stopped, Intact's smile was dark and totally sure. "We have unfinished stuff, Mrs. Yoon. We're not married yet." The wedding was real the moment we both said our vows, attack or not. His hand spread owning across her belly. "You're mine now. By paper, by law, forever mine. Owning much." Or he pulled her closer, his lips brushing her ear. "And now that everyone who counts knows exactly what happens when they threaten what's mine, we can finally have our wedding night." Heat went through her despite the mess, despite everything. "Take me home," she whispered. Intact's smile turned bad. "With pleasure, wife." And as he led her out of the panic room, past the broken bits of their stopped wedding, Omatala got something deep. She'd survived her wedding day, survived betrayal and guns, and a world that wanted her gone. Now she just had to survive being fully, totally, killer loved by the guy who'd picked her over everything. The top floor room Intact had set for their wedding night was full of mixers, windows from floor to top showing Seoul's shiny lights, old Korean art on the walls, and a bed big enough to lose yourself in. Candles glowed despite the mess they'd left. Someone was sure, Omatala said, seeing the rose bits on silk sheets. Hopeful. Intact closed the door behind them, locking many locks. His ruined wedding clothes had blood. None his, but his eyes were clear, all on her. "I've been thinking of this since Charleston." He moved toward her slow, giving her time to stop him, but she didn't want to stop him. She'd survived guns and betrayal while 7 months pregnant. She'd earned this. "Help me with this," she said, pointing to the fancy hat. "I have no idea how to get out of it." Intact's smile turned hunter. "With pleasure, wife." His fingers found the first tie at her shoulder, working with surprising soft. Each loose knot showed more skin, and his eyes followed every bit like he was learning her by heart. When the top layer finally dropped, his breath stopped. "Beautiful," he said low, his hand resting owning on her pregnant belly. "So darn beautiful, carrying my child." Heat went through her. "You're still dressed, eager. We've been stopped twice. I'm not risking a third." Intact laughed and took off his ruined hanbok fast. The Korean letters on his neck went down his left shoulder and arm in fancy strokes. Other marks on his body, knife cuts, bullet rubs, proof of a hard life she was now in. She touched one mark across his ribs. "Does it hurt?" "Not anymore." He caught her hand, pressing it flat against his fast heart. This is what hurts. Wanting you, needing you, knowing I almost lost you today. His other hand held her face. You're everything, almost my obsession, my weak spot, my strength. Then show me, she whispered. Intact's kiss was different this time. Slower, deeper, tasting like promise instead of need. His hands learned her body with holy owning, finding every curve, every answer. When he lifted her careful, thinking of her belly, and carried her to the bed, she felt loved and taken at once. The silk sheets were cool against her hot skin. Intact lay beside her, his hand never leaving her belly, his eyes asking, "Okay, are you sure?" His voice rough. "The baby," the doctor said, "it's safe." Omatala pulled him closer. "And I want this. Want you. All of you." What happened next was heat and owning, and 6 months of obsession finally let out. Intact loved her pregnant body with hands and mouth, saying Korean and English against her skin, promises and nice words and dirty things that made her curve into him. When he finally took her, moving with super care, the world got small to just them, husband and wife, obsession and give in, to people picking each other over everything. After, wrapped in silk sheets with Intact's hand protecting on her belly and soul shiny past the windows, Omatala felt something change like a puzzle piece fitting. "What are you thinking?" Intact said low against her head. "That I picked right. That I'm right where I should be." His arm got tighter around her. "Even after today, especially after today," she turned to face him. "Because you came for me. Because you showed kind when you could have picked fighting. Only for you." His thumb rubbed her belly. "You make me want to be more than what I was raised to be." The baby kicked against their hands together. Intact's face got soft with wonder, strong like her mum. They stayed like that for hours, talking, making plans, being in a bubble where nothing could reach them. 3 weeks later, at 2 a.m., Omatala woke to pains. Intact. She shook his shoulder. "Something's wrong." He was awake fast. "What's wrong?" "Pressure. Pains. But the baby's not due for 6 weeks." Her water broke. Intact moved with scary speed. "Phone out. Fast Korean. Already dressing. Stay calm. We're going now." "It's too early," Omatala said, fear grabbing her throat. "I know." He helped her up, his hands steady, even though his eyes were wild. "But you're strong. The baby's strong." The drive to the hospital was fuzzy. Intact held her hand the whole way, his thumb rubbing her knuckles while setting up doctors and guards. Mr. Yoon, the baby doctor, met them at emergency. "We need to get ready for C-section. The baby's heartbeat is dropping. Save them both." Intact's voice broke. "Whatever it takes." They took Omatala away, and she saw the fear raw and total in his eyes as the doors closed between them. But here's what happened in that cutting room. What Intact would later tell with broken in his voice. The doctors gave him a choice. What happened next was bright lights and doctor voices and big pressure. Then a cry. High, mad, totally perfect. "It's a girl," someone said. Small but breathing. Omatala saw a tiny, mad face before tiredness pulled her down. She woke to afternoon sun and Intact sitting by her bed, holding a pink wrap. His eyes red, his face tired. But how he looked at that baby. He looked at her like she'd put up the moon. "Hey," Omatala said rough. Relief filled his face. "You're awake, thank gosh." He stood careful, bringing the baby closer. "Meet your daughter. 4 pounds 1 ounce. She need baby watch, but she's perfect." Omatola's arms wanted to hold her. "Is she okay?" "She's a fighter, like her mom." Intact sat beside her on the bed. "The doctors gave me a choice during the cutting. Save you or save her if it came to that." His voice broke. "I told them to save you without thinking." Tears went down Omatala's cheeks. "Intact, I know what that makes me. Selfish, but I can't be in a world without you." He looked at her with total broken. "I would have picked you every time. Always you. You didn't have to pick," she whispered. "We're both here." "But I would have." The words hung between them. "Does that make me a monster?" "It makes you mine." She reached for his hand. "It makes you the guy who loves me enough to break himself. And I love you for it." All of it, even the scary parts. His eyes closed and she saw a tear go down his cheek. I love you. Gosh, I love you so much. It scares me. Good. She smiled through her tears. Because I'm scared too, but we're doing this anyway. Their daughter made a small sound and Intact's look went to her fast. What should we name her? He asked soft. Ji-Hai. Wisdom and ocean. A link between your world and mine. Intact's smile was killer. Perfect. He leaned over careful, kissing her forehead. My family, my whole world in this room. 2 months later, Ji-Hai came home from the baby care, tiny but tough. Her lungs strong enough to wake the whole top floor at 3 a.m. Omatola found Intact in the baby room, no shirt and tired, holding their daughter against his inked chest, while she yelled her mad at the world. I've talked with war bosses, he said, without looking up. Lived through kill tries. This tiny person scares me more than anything. Omatola laughed, joining him. Together, they figured out feeding ways and diaper changes, and 1,000 small ways their daughter made them change their world around her. And watching Intact Soul's most dangerous guy sing Korean sleep songs to their half-asleep daughter at sunrise got something deep. She'd survived Charleston, survived Seoul, survived her wedding becoming a fight zone and early birth, and a world that wanted her gone. But living wasn't the win. The win was this. Standing in a Seoul top floor at sunrise, watching her crazy husband hold their daughter with hands that had killed guys, building a family from crazy and picking love, even when it was scary. She'd married a monster who'd become a man for her, and he'd married a woman strong enough to survive being loved by him. Their daughter yawned, tiny fist curling round Intact's finger, and Omatola felt her heart grow big. This was their happy end, messy, hard, born from threats and crazy, and 2 people brave enough to pick each other anyway, and she wouldn't change a single scary, pretty moment. If you think love is worth fighting for, even when it's dangerous, crazy, and totally nuts, hit that like button right now. Drop a comment telling me, would you have taken Jung-Ho's envelope and run, or would you have stayed for And if you want more stories about owning heroes who'd burn the world down for their women, subscribe because Intact's story might be over, but there are plenty more dangerous guys in Seoul waiting to take what's theirs.